Hi, so now we are starting a series of Infocast in which I will talk about certain important things which you need to be aware of, or if you're already aware of, you need to know certain more points about that particular subject. So today we are going to talk about and you'll hear about mitochondrial inheritance. So let's begin this Infocast. As you know that a cell has a thing called mitochondria, which is actually the powerhouse of the cell, in fact the entire body. So whatever food we are eating, it is going to convert all that into energy. So the 90% supply of energy to our body is being brought up by this mitochondria. So this mitochondria is really important for our body. It is basically a cell organelle. So if we go back to our grade 11 and 12 when we were reading about cells, so usually cell has a nucleus and cell has a mitochondria. So this nucleus and mitochondria are called cell organelles. And both nucleus and mitochondria have DNA. Yes, they both have DNA. It's not just the nucleus which has the DNA. The mitochondria also has DNA. So now since the mitochondria has its own DNA, so this can get inherited into the new organism that is developing. So in plants also there is mitochondria. There the inheritance is taking through random segregation. Like if you remember the terms meiosis and mitosis, that's how it is taking. But in animals such as human beings, specifically, it is through single parent inheritance, and here the parent is mother. So the mitochondrial inheritance takes place through the pathway of mother. Now mitochondria, if there are mutations in the DNA of mitochondria, it can lead to mitochondrial diseases. So the diseases that we get due to the mutations in the DNA of mitochondria are called mitochondrial diseases. So they are genetic inherited disorders. Now when we talk about this mitochondrial inheritance, it is actually whatever traits we have, lot of it are coming through our mothers, through our parent, because of this mitochondrial inheritance. So this is the positivity attached to it. But definitely if the mutations they are taking place in the DNA of the mitochondria, it can actually result in a disease. So what kind of symptoms can take place, or what kind of diseases that can take place is like poor growth could be there, then muscle weakness could be there, muscle hypertrophy can be there, that is the myopathies can take place. So commonly are Leigh syndrome and the Millas, you can read about this. Then lot of the learning disabilities and learning difficulties, developmental delays, ASD, GIT difficulties, swallowing disease, which we find during the developmental phase of the child. It can also be because of an underlying mitochondrial faulty inheritance or disease. Increased risk of infections, seizures, migraines, dementia. So that is why it is very important when, if you are a professional hearing this, you need to check the family history of the subject that you're dealing with. It's very important so that you can have a correct observation around their genes, around their genetic code. And also it is very important to let them undergo certain metabolic tests. These are the blood test, urine test, or the spinal tap, that is the cerebrospinal fluid test. So these are going to give you a grave idea about their mitochondrial inheritance. So don't worry about mitochondrial inheritance, but I feel you need to know about mitochondrial inheritance because it has both pros and cons. So I hope you loved this first Infocast from my side. Thank you.